Welcome into WagerTalk Last Call. Football season's here, and that means I'm back in the host chair. You guys are probably stuck with me until April. Maybe whatever the national championship is for 2027 for college basketball. Now, we're a little early for college basketball, but Adam Trigger is going to join the show today. Steve, Merril, and of course, Gianni the Greek up first. We got some UFC talk. We've got some NFL preseason talk as well as MLB. If you guys have a question, drop it in the chat, and we will try to get to you guys. Let's bring in VR first, per usual. I don't like that layout. I like this layout. No, I like this layout. See, this is what happens when I'm the producer. We're just going to wing it until I get better at running things behind the scenes so we can give some people a day off VR.
Thank God real quick that you helped me figure out how to get my filter off, because I didn't even realize that a filter was clicked until I saw the video, and I'm like, what the?
You look great. You look flawless. The comment section on Bet On It was like, hey, did you get some Botox? And I thought, you know what? I do it. What's the problem if VR just wants to, clean it up a little bit?
I love when I leave the UFC and I have makeup on and I look flawless. Like, I don't want to take it off. I want it on the whole day, that day that they put it on, Cal. Dude, you feel so good. You have
it's so funny because you do, but it is. I don't wear a lot of makeup on a day-to-day basis. I'm kind of a Florida hillbilly these days, especially when I'm at places like right now at my dad's. And it's hilarious because Ariel and I just did this big photo shoot, and here we are, full hair, full makeup. She's like, we got to go to dinner. We got to go out. And I look in the mirror in the bathroom like 3 hours later. I was like, I look like a clown.
You've always been more natural, though. You've never been a heavy makeup girl.
It is a really funny look. So had to be funny, but we did film college football Bet On It. We previewed the big Power 4 conferences, and yes, we heard the comment section. Maybe we'll do a smaller conference preview as well. I'm going to see what Marco and VR's timetable looks like. And of course, we previewed the NFL, and we've got some people pissed off about our NFL takes. Mine pissed off all the Bills fans. Marco pissed off all the Seahawks fans. Niner fans love VR. So the comment section is good. If you guys have not checked that out, head over to the WagerTalk YouTube page and make sure you get on it. Got it? Okay. VR, I'm going to let you do what I let you do every single Saturday on Last Call, and even Sundays, because you're going to be joining us for NFL as well. Yeah. I just let the dog off the leash. Like I said, we've got NFL preseason. I know right now you and Adam are both perfect on your NFL preseason picks, and I got a bone to pick with Adam about that. We've got UFC 330, and of course, we've got an MLB slate today. I've got Premier Lacrosse. Yeah, you guys are getting a lacrosse play from me.
Oh, I love
VR, I'm going to let you and Jackpot, with his little ears, go first.
Yeah, do not overlook the other markets. Listen, NFL preseason is going to attract all the volume. The heavy lifting is going to be done by the NFL preseason, even with a UFC numbered event tonight and all the Major League Baseball going on. Rest assured, football's where it's at. And with all the attention on one market, you definitely don't want to overlook the other markets. With that said, I'll knock those out real quickly. I'll give you a little of the MLB, and no surprise, they're taking advantage of some of these dogs. 903 Colorado plus 160, 907 Miami plus 110, 909 Arizona from plus 155 all the way to plus 140, and the over 8 and 8.5. 913 White Sox all the way down to plus 135 from plus 155. They went under 8 there also. 919 Seattle plus 120, 115. 923 Texas up to minus 130 and the under 9. And finally, Minnesota plus 135. Nothing really in WNBA. I've seen a lot of two-way action. Under in LA, Washington's legit, but that line moved a little bit too much. So let's get to what matters most. Again, we'll set the UFC aside. And we'll dive into preseason football. So far, books doing extremely well. No surprise. Bettors are just so excited that the NFL's here. You know, they can't get enough action down. But we've seen in preseason that inefficient betting lines force a lot of two-way action from sharp bettors because they're betting numbers, not teams. And here's a perfect example. Start with 121 Carolina at pick'em from plus 2.5 down the pick'em. Line moved significantly. And what did they do? They came in and took Buffalo also at plus. So they took Buffalo at plus 1.5. They went straight to pick'em at most shops. They laid the 1, laid the 1.5, laid the 2, laid the 2.5. And then this morning, they laid the 3 and the money line at minus 160. Now, again, sometimes you're going to get two-way action where a middle's open. Sometimes you're going to see where they're just buying a side back. But here, not only did you see heavy Buffalo steam, but you saw heavy Buffalo steam through a key number of 3. That's important. 123, Minnesota -1.5. But at 3, we saw some Giants money, not surprisingly. That's a key number. 123 over in that Giants game at 38.5. Then they hit it again at over 40. You'll see some follow through. Those are arguably the strongest plays. Unfortunately, unless you're getting out ahead of the market, the decision is, do I take this second? Do I take this third? Do I take this fourth number after the adjustment? But that's a perfect example that even after a line move, it doesn't mean all the value's been extracted. They hit the over 38.5 in Minnesota, and the Giants came right back and hit it again at 40 a day or so later. So you'll see that, but then you'll also see 134 Seattle -1, -2. Boom, 133 Dallas +3.5. Around those key numbers, you're almost always going to see some kind of resistance. When there isn't resistance, that's where you need to pay attention. Kind of like that Buffalo game I just touched on. 125, these are later. A lot of those happened earlier in the week. This happened late in the week. 125 Cleveland from +1 to -2.5 and the over 38.5. Game 128 Jacksonville and New Orleans steamed under from 38.5 and all the way out to under 37. And finally, they hit Philly, another sign that they went through the key number where they laid the 2, they laid the 2.5 Kel, and then they came back and laid the 3 with Philadelphia. So again, you see that there is some follow through, but then there is some middle attempts like you saw with Seattle and Dallas. And yesterday, real quick, we touched on the same thing. We saw some of that movement, and it didn't work out for them. Like the early money tended to do better than the late money, where the day before it was like the late money did better than the early money. So it's preseason. The bottom line is there are inefficient numbers on the board and plenty of chances to take advantage of that.
All right, let's take a couple of these questions here in the chat. Good morning, Titan CT. Robert said it's going to be a good day. It is. Oh, yeah. Let's go. Rich wants to know, what do you guys think of Bills moneyline and Vikings moneyline first quarter? So this is where the NFL preseason gets a little convoluted for me, VR. People start to dive really deep. Now, I know we have tons of information about these coaches and who's good at preseason and who's bad. And sometimes I want to start to buck some of those narratives, right? We knew Harbaugh for years was a great preseason coach, and we knew that, I think it was Dave Canales before the Hall of Fame game, had never covered a preseason game until all of a sudden there goes Haynes King in for a touchdown. So do you see any of these kind of things come across where the sharp groups are betting these first quarter, first halves in preseason?
Yeah, a lot more first halves than first quarters, because the first quarters are usually more efficient because the books know that's where even the recreational bettors are focused on. Why? Because they expect the starters to play. So you got a better idea of how the team should perform. And because of that, you're not getting much of a discount, but more importantly, it's not as readily available either. Like most of my books don't even offer first quarter right now in the NFL preseason, which tells you that it is an inefficient market. Like it's still beatable, but it's hard to get down. So I'm seeing more first half action that they're betting, at least from the betting syndicates. And it's mostly been around those key numbers, like Buffalo, perfect example, where they laid the 2.5 in the first half. Like you saw Cleveland, they lay in the 2.5 with Cleveland. Hasn't gotten the 3, but they're juicing it. You're seeing a lot of that, a lot of around those key numbers in the first half. But yeah, definitely seeing sharp money betting first half and full game, but not a lot of quarter bets because I just seeing that it's hard to get down. Like I can't get a lot on the first quarter.
Titan CT said Saints first half is a look. We didn't talk about the Saints that much, VR, but I know that you were high on them there for a handful of years. Are you high on them this season?
Listen, I'll tell you right now where I have the Saints power rated. And today, I don't like them today. If anything, I like the others. I haven't bet it, but I like the other side. I have my New Orleans as a bottom tier team. I have them power rated as the 27th best team in the NFL. In fact, there's only like 6-7 teams that they would be favored over. Easy strength of schedule. It's about 25th in the NFL. So they have an easy strength of schedule, but their offense, Kel, is horrific. Only Cleveland, Las Vegas, and the Jets are worse, at least going into the season. Again, things we're going to see how they play out, but at least going into the season, it's the offense that really needs to do some work, at least rating wise.
All right, I'll just say this. I do think that I missed the move, right, which is the unfortunate part on the over 7.5 wins, and that was what frustrated me. And so it's juiced a little higher. We talked about this on Bet On It. Everybody's got their threshold, but I do think the Saints could go 8-9. Again,
in that division, why not? Why not?
Well, here's what we also talked about on Bet On, in case you guys missed it. How frustrating it is because they always want to land on a half, right? If it went to 8, almost even money, even maybe minus 115, I think would probably be the appropriate juice. I would be more apt to bet it than 7.5 minus. I think it's like 160, 165 last I looked. But we got a couple weeks, so I'm going to keep an eye on it. Rex, actually, I gave this out on what show did I give that out on? I got to think about that for a second. All right, last question, but we are going to take Rex's other one. Is middling more likely in the preseason given low totals and more pick'em type situations? VR, you mentioned that you've seen action on both sides. Do you think some of that is the wise guys trying to middle?
Yeah, as far as why there's more middles, yes, great question. But it's not because how the games play out as far as scoring goes, but it's mostly because of the inefficient line that forces huge swings. Like in the regular season, the books are a lot more confident. They feel their line's efficient. There's not as many questions unanswered going into a kickoff. In preseason, there are questions that are unanswered. Because of that, you get more bigger line moves. So you're going to get 4, 5, 6 point middles, where in the regular season, that's not going to happen. If you get a 2-point middle in the NFL, you did good. And more times than not, it's because you got out ahead of weather. You got out ahead of an injury. In this preseason, that's not the case. It's getting out of information like, oh, this guy's going to play his starters a little longer. This guy actually cares, where this guy doesn't. Like things that are hard to quantify, but force bigger line moves. And that's where the middles offer their most value. The bigger the middle, the more probable you're going to hit it. And in the regular season, you just don't get those big middles that you do in the preseason, kind of like in college football, where you get more middles, more variance in scoring, more swings, less efficient market, more line moves. The more line movement you have, the more middles become profitable. The less line movement, the more efficient the market, the much less profitable middling and scalping is.
All right, VR, I'm going to let you do your thing and let everybody know what you got going on today. I know we've got a steam room coming up. Not doing a Sunday show for a couple more weeks, but you're going to be joining me every single Saturday and Sunday here on Last Call to go over some sharp information. So let me know what your thoughts are on today, what you got going on WagerTalk.com, and who can join the steam room.
The steam room's for my long-term guys, my partners, because we're getting ready for the NFL and college football season. It's been our most profitable. I finished number 1 in college football 2 of the last 3 years. You know those power ratings. They've been gold for us and finished in the NFL regular season number 1 last season also. More importantly, what's going on this year? Perfect in NFL preseason at 3-0. I've been very selective. In fact, last night I passed. Nothing gets confirmed. We are not betting. We're here to do damage. We have a couple months and a lot of opportunity. A 4% jump right off the board. It's an early game. Goes off 1 p.m. Eastern. That's available. Maybe my only bet in NFL today. That's just fine because it's a 4%. My UFC package is up. Already 5 bets confirmed in there. More are coming, rest assured. And for subscribers, you know, you'll get the baseball and any added stuff as well. Join me for the steam room at 1 p.m. for subscribers. Also, real quickly, season win totals are out. Those packages are up and finished. College football win totals, NFL win totals, as well as Super Bowl and NCAA championship futures. We are ready for football this year. Jump on board long-term. Let's do some damage. Best of luck to you guys today. Don't forget, UFC 330 is upon us. We will not get a new champion. Makhachev gets it done again. Don't chase that plus money on Gary. It's dead money. Go Makhachev.
Ooh, all right. Little extra UFC info. VR, we're going to get you out of here. And we will see you next Saturday. Guys, lots of good questions in the chat. Hey, shout out to Mac Hudson. Nope, wrong one. Saints 7.5 is -120. When I was looking a couple weeks ago, it was like -1. It was higher. It was much higher. But you're right. Hard Rock has -120. I did just lock that in. So shout out to Mac doing some line shopping for me here on a Saturday morning. We're going to bring in Adam Trigger here in a minute. But first, I wanted to talk to you guys about our friends over at Splash Sports and what we've got going. Nope, that doesn't work either. See, I'm really bad at this producer thing, but we're going to get better. I promise. We're going to get better right there. Right now, that doesn't work either. All right, here we go. Use WagerTalk as your password when you go to splashsports.com/WagerTalk. You get a $100 bonus to use on anything you want on Splash Sports. That is another contest such as my college football survivor or a pick 5 against the spread. $21 million guaranteed. It's going to be a great one. No proxy, no travel to Vegas. I love doing the stuff with those Splash guys. Let's bring in Adam Trigger. Adam, welcome to the stage. Good morning. How was Total Basis today?
It was good. It was TB and I. Brian wasn't feeling well this morning, so a little 2-person show. Myself and Tokyo Brandon. We hit, I think, 6 or 7 different Major League Baseball games, which is what we're doing pretty much 6 days a week, right here on the WagerTalk YouTube channel. 9 a.m. Eastern during the week, and then we at least for the time being go at 10 on Saturday, though we may have to move up to make room for college football, which who doesn't want to make room for college football?
You guys are, we're going to be moving the Blitz, which was on Thursday, to right before this show at 10 a.m. I think you guys are going to do 9 a.m. During football season. So shout out to you guys, especially Brian Leonard on the West Coast. That is a 6 a.m. start. I appreciate you guys' love for the game. But Adam, I really wanted to bring you on here to talk about NFL preseason. I know it's baseball season. And if you guys want all of the baseball, as he mentioned, they just went over an hour's worth over on Total Basis, and we will touch on a few things. But preseason, you have been absolutely red hot. It's great to have both you and VR on here because I've never – my dog is snoring. Sorry. I have never gotten to the point where I've needed a handicap preseason before because Ralph Michaels taught me how to do it. VR taught me how to do it. And say, hey, this is what we're looking for. And then I go on social media and I see people fighting about preseason. And, oh, there's no edge in preseason. Oh, you missed the number. Oh, you did this or oh, you did that. And it's just like, everybody shut up. If you're making money betting preseason, if you're able to find an edge, you should be right here. 17-4 in preseason. 17-4. I'm not 17-4. I think I'm like 6-2, but still, that is amazing. What a run. NYC Born 174 says. So Trig, talk to me about your thoughts on preseason, how you handicap preseason, and why you haven't lost a preseason game yet.
Yeah, 17-4 is some serious volume. I think I've made I'm 19-7 since the beginning of 2022. So I've only made 26 preseason bets the last 4 years. So I'm not spraying the board like that in preseason. I think so. So I'm not going to rehash everything. Everything Gianni said is absolutely 100% true about betting the preseason. I think what I'll take from there is, first of all, I think you do have action likely on both sides in a lot of these games. One thing you should absolutely not do is have FOMO and play a bad line in the NFL preseason. You shouldn't do it ever, but it's there to do it more often in the preseason because some of these lines are moving significantly. I'll give you examples from the past 2 days. The Titans on Thursday opened as a small underdog. They went up to as much as -6. A lot of chances to take a bad line there. If you took the worst of it, Kelly, you would have lost because it went off actually 6.5. So you would have lost at the worst number. Last night, I bet a lot of people jumped on the Jets. They were like a pick, maybe +1. They went off a 6. Well, they got up to as high as -6, went off 5 or 5.5. They lost the game. Every Jets bet would have lost. So going back to what Gianni says, it's very volatile. Something I think gets overplayed in the preseason. So I guess I'll give you my bullet points as to what I look for. One thing, I think the market moves oftentimes on info about that surrounding starters, right? I think how long starters are going to play, who's going to play, so on and so forth, in my opinion, moves the most and moves more than it should. Because remember, these games are still being decided by third and fourth string players. So like for me, I'm typically going to handicap the second half before I even worry about the starters in the first half, because that's where the game's likely going to be decided. That's where your full game bet. Now I get I don't know if there's guys betting first quarter, first half in preseason games. It's certainly not me. It's very, very hard to even find that a lot of places anymore, but you can still find full game NFL preseason at good limits anywhere. Every book offers it. So, that's why I'm always looking at the full game market, and I'm always trying to handicap all 60 minutes. Then the obvious, yes, some coaches care more than others. That being said, you got a guy like Jim Harbaugh, 48-16 over his career in the preseason, but now he's with a new team. I've always thought the Ravens won preseason games with Harbaugh because they had such an efficient system in place. They had backup quarterbacks in Huntley and some of the guys that came through the ranks in Baltimore that could go out and run the offense just like the starters, and there was less moving parts. So they were always farther along, in my opinion, than a lot of the league in the preseason. The Ravens also had very good preseason defensive depth. That's always been a focal point for the Ravens. So to me, that's probably more why the Ravens had such a good run in the preseason than maybe like Harbaugh. So Kelly, you were kind of talking about, is this an area maybe where you fade that a little bit? Because everyone knows Harbaugh's a good preseason coach now.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of things that people know, but it doesn't mean that it's going to lose.
Right, exactly.
That's where the fading of these narratives and stuff has to go along with some sort of quantitative measure. There has to be. It's the same thing. Like, for example, when Ralph does his trends and angles video, and Ralph and I did bet on it, and we've done all sorts of different things over the years. These are tools to help your handicap. You should not just be blindly betting preseason because, like I said in the Hall of Fame game, ex-coaches never covered a preseason game. Okay, well, guess what happened?
Yeah.
A college quarterback ran in on a ridiculous fourth down play, and you lost. Like, I watched the end of that game, and I was like, thank God I did not bet on this. Doesn't mean there wasn't an edge or that somebody else didn't have something. It's just kind of when those games come down to a coin flip, like at the end, I tend to think, you know what, right or wrong, you got to cash a ticket. Doesn't mean that I needed to make a wager.
No, and that's the thing. That's the thing, Kelly. Like, you could say that about anything, anytime. How many NFL regular season games essentially have very little value, right?
This is very true. Yes, very, very, very true.
You have to account for. You have to know that some of the nonsense might be coming at the end, and it's got to be part of your handicap. So, for example, big angle for me on Thursday. Part of the reason I like the Cardinals so much is I felt like their third and fourth stringers had reps that the Raiders' third and fourth stringers did not have. And they got to, now fortunately they didn't, by that point, I feel like the Raiders had kind of moved on. They were already kind of out of it. And, that last sort of 20 minutes of that game was just kind of going through the motions, but it kind of worked out. I thought if it was a close game at the end, I would have preferred to have the Cardinals in the 3 points over what the Raiders had. And listen, there was sharp money all day on Thursday on the Raiders because it became known that Carson Beck wouldn't play. Didn't put me off the Cardinals because, again, I looked at the first game and I said, would Keaton Slovis have probably done this against the Panthers' fourth stringers as well? I don't know. Maybe. I mean, he went 9 for 10. So you're right. One piece is never going to get you there. It's, there's a whole bunch of different things I look at
together collectively, especially in the preseason. And like you said, understanding, I think that you can learn a lot from the preseason to help with your handicap for the NFL season. A, you're going to figure out who's going to make the roster. B, you're going to figure out who the backups are. And sometimes when you get cluster injuries, say on an offensive line or in the cornerback position, whatever it may be, you can say, okay, look, I watched the backup. I watched him get absolutely torched in X, Y, and Z game. He's lucky to have made the team. Until I see otherwise, until player A comes back, or even with backup quarterbacks. You mentioned Lamar Jackson to Tyler Huntley. Ariel and I went to that game, and if the number wasn't different on the jersey, I would have thought that they were the same player, right? There was nothing from the style of play to the play calling to any of those mannerisms that a quarterback has, those two are a perfect 1A, 1B type scenario where, yes, there's going to be a drop off from the point spread, but there should not be that much overreaction versus some of these guys where you're saying, hey, yeah, Carson Beck looked real good in that Hall of Fame game. Like that kid, I had to eat a lot of my words. My dad lives in Central Florida, and these guys, boy, oh boy, did they absolutely just destroy me with all of the chatter about Carson Beck, obviously, between Miami fans and Georgia fans saying, Kelly, I think you're wrong. And I said, I think we need to pump the brakes here.
Yeah, and the final thing I'll say is, like, there's almost nothing in an NFL preseason game that can be worth 6 points. So, like, yesterday, now, I had agreed with, like, the initial, like, lean toward the Jets at what the opener was. But, like, there is no scenario where you should have been laying 5.5 with the Jets yesterday. There's, like and it goes back to what you're saying. Way too much going on in a preseason game that could go one way, another sideways. Like, you simply can't lay 5.5 with the Jets when you could have had pick. You just can't do it.
All right. I just saw Steve Merril pop in, so we got to get to him here in about 5-ish minutes. So I want to take some of these questions here in the chat. Actually, you know what? These are a lot of baseball questions, and I want to keep talking preseason. So we're going to keep talking preseason, and then I'll get to 2 baseball questions. I promise, guys. Let's talk about a couple of games that didn't make your card today. What do you got over at WagerTalk.com for the preseason? And then a couple of looks maybe that ended up kind of getting passed over by you and maybe might be worth a look later on the afternoon pending any line moves.
Yeah, so I went with I went with a 5%er today in the NFL preseason. Big reason for that is it's just been so good for me the past few years. I went 4-0 in the preseason last year. I opened this preseason with a winner on Thursday. Actually dating back to the year before, I have 6 in a row. So we're going to go for 7 in a row in the NFL preseason. I guess one that's intriguing to me that didn't make my card, but is certainly, you know, a way I would look is I think I would fade the Harbaugh trend. I know we kind of touched on it for 2 seconds, but like, here's the thing. Going back to, you know, everything I just said relative to that game, he's got new players. There's just too much new, in my opinion, for the Giants to think that his 48-16 preseason record matters here. So now that the Giants have taken a little bit of money and bumped this down to, I think it's down to like 1.5 or 1, I'd at least be willing to maybe play back against that with the Vikings. The reason I'm not doing it, Kel, is because I guess I do still sort of respect the fact that he's gone for it and won games in the preseason every year, but that's what I'm going to watch closely. I lean toward the Vikings, and I'll look to see if I can maybe, you know, see a reason to play with the Giants next week, especially if they lose here. I wonder if that, you know, maybe changes things for them next week. As far as like the nighttime slate, or like, I guess the later games, you know, that's the thing for me in the preseason. I really don't have, I have one that's up. Obviously it's a 5%er, and my strongest other lean is probably the Vikings here. I don't have anything I like enough either way to like come out and give it and put someone on a play. Going back to what you're saying, so many moving parts, and we're now at the tail end of week 1, where a lot of the stuff I had opinions on has already went off. So I'll kind of have my eye on a couple things if a line moves, I guess, like way too far. But again, some of these other games today outside of Vikings and then the one that I have up for sale are just not stuff that I would get involved in.
Shout out to Grant's dad. I never get paid on this show. No, all jokes aside, we do not keep the money. We do donate to charity, but thank you, Grant's dad. I think he is a Total Bases viewer. So in honor of Total Bases, Trig said maybe the Vikes. I don't think Matt Nagy's as bad as the comment section saying I don't love him. I did love him as the Bears head coach because I made a lot of money betting against him. But I do think he still is a really solid offensive coordinator. He took Patrick Mahomes to what, 3 Super Bowls?
Mm-hmm. RG Jet says I gave you nothing. I gave you the Vikings. That's my strongest lean outside of what I played for clients. And I can't give you the one I played for clients
because
because
they'll set you on
Kelly
fire.
might fire.
About the free
Kelly might
5%
fire
play
me.
on the show with me. Good idea. Good idea. All right, one baseball question, only because he told me to look at Hard Rock for the Saints, minus 120. He wants to know, how do we not back the Red Sox today, Trig? We know I know nothing about baseball, so I'm taking myself off the screen. I'm just going to let Trig talk.
I guess the argument to not backing the Red Sox would be they were the hottest team in any sport pretty much on planet Earth for a month. And so now you're maybe seeing the come down from that a little bit. I mean, this team from July, let's say 1st through the All-Star break, up until maybe a week ago or so was something insane. They were like 30-5. I mean, that's just unheard of in Major League Baseball to win something like 30 out of 35 games. And this is Kelly coming from a team that was well under 500 at the beginning of that stretch. So even with this crazy win streak the Red Sox have been on, and now they've obviously given some back. They've lost 6 of their last 7 to give some back. They're still only 65-57. And I think even now they probably are a little bit inflated by just having just an insane run from July through the All-Star break into August, went out, became buyers at the trade deadline, brought a couple new guys in. I just think that they were the peak of all peaks in terms of like where their value could be, that even with losing 6 of 7, it hasn't like really evened them out at this point. I'd say in this particular game, the line is about right. But I guess the case I'll make against the Red Sox here is the Pirates really hit right-handed pitching extremely well. You know, they were another team that had a really good sort of first few months, that injuries sort of ate them up a little bit. They had a bad start to August, but they've absolutely crushed right-handed pitching. It's a lineup that sets up far better against right-handed pitching. And they've come around a little bit. They were ice cold offensively up until 2 days ago. The last 2 days, a 13-1 win over the Marlins and an 8-4 win over the Red Sox. So certainly not my favorite thing on the board in Major League Baseball today, but like Jared Jones, fantastic. I put him ahead of Sonny Gray when I'm rating starting pitchers. You know, you're getting the Pirates here as an underdog against a right-handed pitcher when they basically had a top 5 WRC plus against right-handed pitching all season. And a guy like Jared Jones on the mound, where he kind of got smoked by the Mets the last time out, but prior to that was very, very good in most of his starts. I think, you know, his 5 ERA is a little misleading because he came back from injury, he got a late start to the season, and he got blown up a couple times. So I think that's misleading to what the pitcher that he is. So I'll lean toward the Pirates here at the plus money. Not my favorite thing, but I could see why the Pirates would have success at home today.
All right, I'll let Trig go long. Shocker. So we're going to get him out of here. Bring in Steve Merril. But first, we're going to talk some PLL. Head over to WT.buzz/AT. You can get Trig's 5% preseason play over there. Trig, see you on Total Bases.
All right, sounds good. Thanks for having me, Kel. Good luck today.
Oh, I need it. We got a question here. I am really bad at this producer thing. We got a question here from Ron Mux in regard to the 2.5 for the Water Dogs, plus Schellenberger getting ruled in. Now, Schellenberger is one of the best players in the PLL, and it does kind of concern me. But I will say this. I asked Dan, our producer, Dan Alexander, I said, Dan, I'm on the over today, by the way. I think this is a score fest. I don't think the Atlas are just going to sleepwalk through this game. Since 2020, blindly backing teams getting plus 2.5, 22, 10, 8 against the spread, 22-10. 9 of the 12 games played between these two teams have come down to a single possession, including the 1-goal win earlier this season by Philly. Wow. I might have to look at that 2.5. I know those are far and few between in the PLL. So, Ron, hopefully that answers your question, guys. I'm on the over 25.5. I think it is an absolute and utter score fest. That one goes off at 2 p.m. Eastern on ABC. I'm going to be watching with my dad. He's a new lacrosse fan. It's been really fun to bring him in. Now we're going to bring in Steve Merril, and we're going to talk way more fun stuff with Steve Merril, like boring baseball. I mean, Steve Merril, I'm tired of talking baseball. I'm kidding. You've been crushing, and I always appreciate all of your videos that you put on over at WagerTalk.com. We got a new concept coming out for you guys as well. We're going to call it the Market Call, And as the producer extraordinaire, of course, I forgot to put in the graphic.
I'll send it to you here. I'll send it to you in about.
The graphic. I'm going to put it in. But talk to me about what you got going on over at WagerTalk today, Steve.
Yeah, so I've got football and baseball. Got an NFL preseason best bet and also baseball best bet. They're both on the nighttime card. So if you're watching the replay here in the afternoon on Saturday, and still time to get both of those. And also a nighttime free play. We'll talk about some baseball, but I've also got a bonus free play up on my page. And also a video, Kelly, for the 2 standalone nighttime national TV games in the NFL tonight. Been doing some free play preseason games. It's my preseason, getting ready for the regular season. And we're off to a nice start there as well. It's funny, you don't want to talk about baseball, nothing there, so we talk NFL, I'll talk baseball. You just mentioned lacrosse, which would be like baseball to you would be lacrosse to me. And I think for a lot of the viewers out there, preseason football is kind of like all of those because they don't mess with it either. I heard what you said with Adam.
Steve, I've never been able to successfully take a nap during a PLL game. Even my dad said, like when we were watching a couple weeks ago,
I love lacrosse.
He goes, I had no idea that this was so physical and it was such a great game. And I go, I know. Whereas baseball, it's just, I don't mind going to a game if it's a Sunday afternoon and we're going to have some peanuts and some beers and just have a good time. Like that to me is what preseason NFL, baseball, it's just a more relaxed setting. Right. I'll say that. So
lacrosse is like ice hockey on grass. I mean, I totally agree. Oh, look, wow. I didn't even send that to her, folks. She did that on her own.
Even though it says Thursday Night Football in the corner, it is what it is. Because
where'd you get that? How'd you get that without me sending that to you?
I found it in Slack. I just found it randomly and I was like, download, hurry up because you are failing miserably. And now
actually that's actually not the official one. I'll send you the official one here in a moment, the one that we're using. Remember, Johnny had some fun with AI, folks, and he came up with 3 or 4 of them. And for some reason, every one of them makes me look like I'm confused that we're doing market call.
No, are you sure?
I almost sent that back to you guys. Like, doesn't it look like I'm a little confused that I'm doing market call? But I think it looks like I'm inquiring. I'm thinking deep.
No, I think it means you're like Aristotle. Isn't that the guy? Who's the guy like this?
He thought deep. That would be thinking deep.
Exactly. I'm going to add another one. Watch.
Hey, look, so we'll tell people more about market call a little bit, but basically it's going to be every Thursday night before the NFL game kicks off. There's been a lot of hoopla because the last 2 years, the free play videos have crushed it over 70%. Doing every Thursday night game. I think last year, I think it was over 80% last year. That's right, Steve Merril. It was over 80% on Prime. So, yeah, look, we'll get a deep dive into the Thursday night game before it kicks off. But more importantly, you're going to get an advanced look in my NFL Fade the Public data before it's released publicly the next day. So a lot of people have been asking about that because, Kelly, people like to turn their contest picks in sometimes before the Thursday night game, the pick fives, the survivor picks. So it's going to be an advanced look at all of the NFL, all of college football. And if you're in this pick 5, exactly. I was going to say, what's beautiful about the market call is I'm going to give contest strategy as well. And some people are like, I don't live in Las Vegas. I live in one of the other 49 states. Well, if you live in one of the 35 of those other 49 states, you can play Splash Sports. And even if you're not in one of those 35 states, you can sign up in one of the other states and then play all year. It's really a cool concept. And this is going to change. Insider tip, it's going to hurt Vegas. It's going to hurt these big boy contests because you don't need a proxy.
I think ultimately it might not hurt them this year. I don't think it might hurt them next year. But over the next 5 years, I think we are going to see because Nevada gaming really limits what those guys are allowed to do as far as bringing contests nationally. We did just put this up on splashsports.com/WagerTalk. $50,000 guaranteed, pick 5 ATS. I'm the only person signed up so far because, of course, I wanted to get in first. So if you guys want to play against me, maybe we can have some side bets with some of our Wager Talk insiders, if you will. So DM me if you guys want to have a side bet to see who has a better record this year. $250, $50,000 guaranteed. That's getting you 5 picks a week. Give you some action there. Steve, I'm not married, so I get to do whatever I want. Not true, but close enough. But the thing I used to always tell my buddies, your wife doesn't like you betting with the local guy at the bar. I mean, this is like 2019, 2018. Your wife doesn't like you, doing other things. These kind of contests get you that action, and you can kind of keep your bankroll, right? You can kind of keep your bankroll intact, right? If you do $1,000 Survivor with 4 of your buddies, because you guys can divide it up. You're doing a pick 5. Because here's the reality. For $250, if that's your bankroll for the year, if you're a small bettor, you're never going to win $50,000. Ever. Ever. It's mathematically impossible. And that's what I've told some of my buddies whose wives like to keep them on tight, short leashes.
Yeah, I just did the math. I did the calculations here. 250 divided by 18 is $13.80 a week. And you get 90 picks for $250. And as you just said, it's a lottery ticket. You can win $50K. That's what appeals to me, Kelly, about all these is it's risk a little to win a lot. And whether, it's not really sports normally because I don't play a lot of futures. It's normally grinding the bankroll every day. But in the financial markets, which is also why we call it market call, because yes, I follow the financial markets. It's all about risk reward. And, a lot of people love like call options, risk a little to win a lot. This is a call option on the football season, and you can have a lot of fun with it. You're having 5 best bets every week for $13.80. That works out to like $3 a bet. I think you're white. Hey, honey, I'm only betting $3 a game this NFL season, and you're technically not lying. There we go.
I mean, you're not. All I'm saying is I get it. This is my buddy Dalton. His wife was about to have their 4th whoopsie baby. The other 3 were planned. The 4th was a whoopsie.
Baby needs new shoes. Baby needs new shoes.
You can't be gambling. She's like, you can't be gambling 3 or 4 times a weekend. Like, and right. I kind of got it. But yeah, Mark Lambert. Yeah, hello. Dime better would be thrilled with 50. Yeah, as a dime better, I would be thrilled to make $50,000 betting on the refs. We know the NFL is one of those things for me. I'm going to keep it really light this NFL season, Steve Merril. I really have decided I'm going to be super selective. My most profitable NFL season was 2018, 2019 when I worked at Bleacher Report and I had to give out one best.
Yeah, I was just going to say the same thing because you and I, people might not know, you and I did extremely well in one of the Vegas contests about 4 or 5 years ago. Yep. It was the pick 5, and we went 14-1 the first 3 weeks or whatever. We were in the running all year. We couldn't quite cash after that. And what's more remarkable about this is that Prez was on our team as well. Can you imagine what we could have done? And actually, all seriousness, I think he actually did hurt us a little bit more because Jay Money was on there. He did fantastic. It was you, Marco was the other one. And man, we actually did fantastic. I don't know. I have to look up
I went during I believe it was the first year of the first 18-week season. I think I went 15.
It was 2022 because it was after we did the meet and greet. That's the only reason I was able to sign up because I haven't been to Vegas since. So I know for a fact it was because I signed up at the meet and greet.
Yeah. Listen, and I've realized it. Sometimes just finding those 1 or 2 nuggets for the NFL season is absolutely the way to go. And I get it. This is also, and there's going to be weekly pick'ems. Steve and I are going to host over at Splash, where I'm going to do a college football weekly pick'em. We're going to have 10 or 12, 14 games on the board.
Love that, by the way.
Whoever has the best record is going to win the entire pot. Or obviously, if a bunch of people go 14-1, like the week that I almost won it last year in the NFL. That was painful. But Steve and I are going to do a weekly NFL contest. So if you're looking for lots of action, you can find it. And that's what I do like, Steve, is that over at WagerTalk, we give out our best bets. We give out the best of the best. You're giving out your Fade the Public, tons of information to help people handicap, in addition to some nuggets of maybe some wagers that you are looking at as far as fading the public. But when you're looking for 10, 15, or 13, 14 NFL games, there's not 15 ever, I don't think. But that being said, it gets a little too much for your girl.
There'll be 16 for several weeks, right? What are there, 32 teams? Yeah, there's 32 teams now.
16 games. Okay, yeah, you're right.
There were 28 teams until the mid-70s when the Bucks and Seahawks. No, 26 teams.
I don't know about the
until this is funny, actually.
The bye weeks, I didn't never know if we ever played 15 games.
Well, my favorite follow on Twitter, and it's the one that always pops up, is Ricky Cobb's, Super 70s Sports. It's just so entertaining. And whether you like him or not, who cares? It's just funny.
Because it is nostalgia.
It is so much. I mean, it's like, obviously like you're a little younger than me, just a smidge. Just a smidge younger. But there's so much stuff from my childhood, like in the 80s. And like he had like the NFL comforter. I mean, I had that. It's like the sheets, the bed sheets. But he had one that even predated me, and it was the early 70s from like the Sears catalog with the flammable pajamas. But I do remember those even in the 80s. And I forgot there was such a thing, Kelly, as flammable pajamas because like nobody smokes in bed anymore. But what was, of course, my crazy mind is it shows all the teams available, and I count them really quick, and I notice there's 20 NFL teams. So I'm like, who's missing? So I'm having fun with this. I sent it to some of my friends, and this was early 70s. So I go, it's going to be 26 teams because the Bucks and Seahawks aren't there yet because they all said that. And then someone's like Panthers and Jaguars. I was like, that was mid-90s, man. Come on. No Texans. But it was pretty fun.
The Titans were the Oilers. Are the Oilers on the sheet?
Yeah, the Oilers. I'll tell you what was missing was like Chargers, Patriots. But the best was my brother-in-law got it right away, and he's a little bit older than me. He wrote back. He goes, "These 6 teams were in favor of flammable pajamas," and he listed all 6 of them. It was the best comment ever. But anyway, it made me think of that because that's why I know the NFL had 26 Yeah, 32 now. But I'll say this, Kelly. Now we talked about baseball, NFL, betting, not betting. Today in baseball, there's 30 MLB teams. So there's 15 games today. If we had a doubleheader, we'd have 16. That's one NFL week in one day. So you get almost half the NFL season in a week and a half of the baseball season. That's how big the baseball season is.
And I do think that because, I started my college football and NFL prep back in June, right? Even actually in May early because of all my dad's surgeries and things we were going through. And I was sitting at the hospital all day, every day. So I had tons of time to get ahead of things and start building my sheets and start working on these models and stuff that I had never really done in the past. And I all of a sudden found myself in July, like idle hands. I have this whole spreadsheet of like, here's the starting quarterback, some of the stuff I share with Ariel because she's more NFL props and I'm more college football. And she even messaged me the other day. She goes, have you updated your sheet? And I go, yeah, I update it every time they name a starting quarterback. We still have 20 plus Power 4 teams that don't have a starting quarterback. I walked in my dad's house earlier and I was looking and going, what are you doing? Watching the ACC network? And he's like, I'm watching Clemson. These two are in the running for starting quarterback. And I go, how is it August 15th? And I don't know who the hell the starting quarterback at Clemson is, but this is the new college football. And so you kind of get idle. So I did start betting a little baseball because Ariel would be like, hey, do this. Or I played her Hit Streak Survivor on, because you kind of get that. I still get that itch because you still want to have some action.
Yeah, it's funny. I saw that quote. I just saw that chat before you popped it up. You and I think alike. D. Coleslaw, I hope you're wearing the non-flammable pajamas. I hope you're not wearing your Patriot pajamas or your Chargers. There's 4 other teams. But anyway, thank you, D. Cole. Enjoy that drag. Enjoy that drag.
I do agree. I think it's Miami's conference to lose. We'll see what Clemson's got in the tank.
I mean, I'll be honest, Kelly. That's one of the reasons I haven't done a lot of preseason football work for college. It's just like I'm not going to waste my time and then have to like scratch half of it out a month later. There was that big rule in a few weeks ago with the future odds. A federal judge or a circuit judge, one person basically moved the college football futures markets by giving a ruling if certain guys can play this year or not. How crazy is that? We're talking about this insider trading with Polymarket and Kalshi. I mean, a damn judge can move the future markets now.
This is what happens when you got all that West Texas oil money, Steve Merril. I know the cactuses in the comments are going to be mad at me, but that's why, even if you watch the college football edition of Bet on It, I gave out Texas Tech under 10.5 wins. Sure, they have an easy schedule. Sure, they have more money than God. But now, because of that ruling, they became public enemy number 1 in the Big 12. Just on social media alone, if you saw some of the comments. Now, when you have this have or have not mentality, guess what? The have-nots are gunning for you each and every week. Will Hammond's still not fully healthy, at least everything I'm hearing out of Lubbock. We'll see if he's ready to go for week 1. Another team that hasn't said, hell yeah, he's going to be a go. I know he's been practicing in full pads. It seems like he will be, but we're going to find out. I do think it's going to get real interesting. College football has some more growing pains, I'll say, to get through until we kind of maybe find a happy medium here.
Yeah, and look, I agree with you, and I still think, situational handicapping works really well in college football. Like Ross Benjamin just had a fantastic record year after year, and Ross does a lot of videos here like I do. One thing I love about Ross is we often have different games, but we always kind of think the same, and Marco's a real situational guy as well. I still think it works really well for the point you just said that it's impossible to have your A game, your 100% focused effort every week of the season. And, that's why sometimes like the big boys can get away with it because they're just so much better physically structured, but like you said, Texas Tech not necessarily
going to win 9 or 10 games. I don't think they're going to win 11.
Well, they have to have their A game every week, basically. They have a tough conference and people are gunning for them. Like you said, there's a motivational angle now for someone to come in motivated every week, which I think is very underrated.
Yep, 100%. Ross is great. He is going to be on before this show. I believe the first episode of The Blitz is going to be August 29th. I will confirm that. So it'll be on here before. Steve Merril is going to be joining me a ton this year on Last Call. Again, Steve, let everybody know what you've got coming up on WagerTalk.com when you're going to start your first market call.
Yeah, so we've got both NFL preseason games previewed in a video tonight. So check that out here on WagerTalk TV, the 2 late games. Market call. Let's start the first Thursday of the regular season.
Okay.
Let me confirm. This is what happened a few weeks ago. I'm giving everyone a little backstage. There's a game on the 9th.
That was weird. Wednesday the 9th is weird.
Well, so Kelly, I wanted to confirm that it was like September 10th. I was 99% sure it was, but luckily I checked because I forgot when Johnny, you and I were deciding when to start this, that there was a game on the 9th on Wednesday, September 9th. Yeah, it's kind of an important game. I don't know. It's only a rematch of the Super Bowl, Seahawks-Patriots. So we're going to start market call on Wednesday, September 9th. So you have a few weeks still to get on board, but why wait? Because you get market call free when you sign up for the 1 year all access. This is what I need to send you, Kelly. I knew that. Let me do it as I'm talking here. I sent it to Dan, the man, Alexander. Dan's like, I'm offering. We're like, Dan, Dan's like, I can help today. I can jump in and do the let me find the way to call it. I can help produce, but people don't realize Dan's about to have a baby.
Yes.
And as a male, I can tell you it's extremely more painful when you're a male and you're having a baby. It hurts a lot more. So Dan, comment below. We got like one woman watching probably anyway, so the comments will be probably pretty mild.
Listen, there's a reason why I don't have any children, and it's not because I'm not married. It's because I am terrified of childbirth. If you want to know a secret of Kelly in Vegas, she is a chicken shit, as her dad likes to call her.
No, I kid with Dan because they keep saying like Dan's gonna have a baby. Dan's like, I'm having a baby. I was like, that sounds painful. No, but Dan will be a great dad, and if he has a girl, he'll be a great mother as well.
Can I have a boy? I'm so excited.
Oh, do they know? Did they know?
Yeah, they know. They found out it's going to be a boy. I'm very excited.
I was going to wish him happy Mother's Day, but so I sent Kelly the one with the promo upgrade here if she wants to pop it in. But so look, market call sounds like a fantastic offer. It's worth thousands of dollars. What's even better when it's free, and you can get it free when you're a seasoned subscriber. And right now we're offering an instant $811 discount on the 1 year all access for $1188 total. You're getting every sport every day for 365 days, and then also market call included, which is worth the price of admission. The reason I recommend jumping in now, baseball is always fantastic the second half of the season for me. And exactly at this point, 2 seasons ago, we finished 38-15. It was actually August 14th, so it's technically started yesterday. We finished on a 38-15 run, and that was 80 units alone in baseball. And then you're going to get the complete college football season, complete NFL season, complete NBA season, complete college basketball season from start to finish, and then the rest of this year's baseball, which is always the sweet spot. So this is really the optimal time to start taking a true investment approach. And with the instant discount, it's $3 a day. That works out to like $1 a play. Honey, I'm only paying $1 a day for Steve Merril. That sounds fantastic. Baby's going to get those brand new shoes, and market calls included live for free. And it truly is interactive. I mean, it's one-on-one with me for as long as we go into the NFL Thursday night game, and then we talk about public information, my 10,000 game simulation for college football, any particular game you want to ask me. It doesn't have to be a top 25 game. And then the contest strategy, which I think is going to be the coolest part of the call, Kelly, is like you brainstorming survivor picks in September. Yep. And then when we're all eliminated by the third week, we'll talk about the pick 5 contest.
Well, I won't be. Listen, I am really good. Last year I did get eliminated. I remember which week it was because it was Brett's sister's Friday wedding. And so I said, screw it. We're going to use the Rams Thursday night, double-digit favorites. And we're at the Thursday night. And I'm like, I am in hell. That sucks. So it didn't go very well then. So I rejoined. I did a bloody survivor, which is double pick weeks every single week over on Splash. I think it was starting like week 7 or 8. And, of course, I made it all the way to week 18. And the Raiders lost as 5.5-point favorites to the Kansas City Chiefs, who had nothing to play for. So that was painful because I did not hedge, and that is my own fault.
Kelly, I took a quick look at week 1 the other day. If I'm not mistaken, I don't have it in front of me, but if I'm not mistaken, there's only like 2 favorites of more than like a field goal, basically. I think they're both the Jags. Right, the Jags were 7 against Cleveland.
And the Chargers. But
I think the other one was Detroit, and I was thinking, in this contest, do we have to use a Thursday Thanksgiving game like the Circa?
Nope.
Oh, okay. Well, that makes a big difference.
6 double pick weeks. And let me go on their website because I don't.
But that's how they do it at the end. You have a double pick week coming up eventually, right?
Yeah. So they got rid of the week 3 and week 6 double pick week basically because they had some people. Listen, I think ultimately they're listening to their audience. So week 9 is a double pick week. 12, 13, 14, 15, and 16 are double pick weeks. So listen, in theory, it's going to be front loaded. I think it's going to take a long time for people to get eliminated. But you're right. Week 1 in itself looks. I think I'm going to have 6 entries in the $1,000, $21 million guaranteed. We'll see. I right now I have 4. So I have 4.
We got Jacksonville's going to be the public play, I guess. They're 7.5 over Cleveland, and then the only one that I remember, I think Detroit's 7 over New Orleans. Well, I'm sorry, Chargers are 10.5. You're right. I missed that one for some reason.
Everybody's going to want to play the Chargers. So
yeah, you're right. The Chargers are 10.5 over Arizona, so that's going to be the heavy. What was it about 2-3 years ago? What was the one? The big one went down like 70% were out in week 1. It was 2 years
ago.
Bengals
over the Patriots, wasn't it?
Yeah, 2024. And the reason I remember is I have a local friend who's in a huge one, and he made it to like the final 5 out of thousands of people. And I think 70-80% of the circuit was gone by like week 4 that year. But then it was all chalk. Remember, 2024 was like the chalkiest October in history. We all got crushed.
It still got chopped.
Yeah.
So
you definitely want to have multiple entries if possible for the reasons we're talking about. But the re-up is also, look, and people are thinking, well, if I'm out in week 2, this is no fun, whatever, you can re-up. And even the pick 5, if it's not going great for you early on, there's other contests. There's weekly contests, like Kelly said. And I'll leave it at this, but I love the college football concept because even if you go to Vegas, there's hardly any college football contest.
And that's why I mirrored the same one as the Westgate. I called John Murray. I was like, hey, I'm just going to mirror this. I'm doing a 100 for people that want to have multiple entries, or maybe they have a lower price point. And then I did the 500 because that's the one that I'm interested in. That mirrors with the Westgate exactly the same. Obviously, the lines are going to be different because the Westgate sets their own lines, Splash sets their own lines, but it's still 7 picks against the spread per week. $500 entry. I also do have the $100. I think I got 3 in the $100 and 2 in the 500 right now. I got another buddy that wants to split a $500 with me. Sometimes it gets hard when you got partners, but I can't say no. I love doing the contests. I do think that they are really fun.
And you just brought up a great point I want to point out. I had not thought of this yet, and it's a marketing point that you and I used. Split it with friends, right? He just said here's my advice, and Kelly's done this before too. You got to have a set of rules so that there's no confusion in week 2 or 3 when you're on opposite sides. So like Kelly and I did that with the Westgate 4 years ago. There was 5 of us. We split, I think it was at 2,500 back then, maybe, or 3,000. And like we split it 5 ways and we each put in 1 pick each week. And like you said earlier, Kelly, what made me think about that is we did extremely well because we were putting in the 1 pick. And I do think there's some strength. It's very hard to find 5 NFL games every week that necessarily have value. I rarely have 5 best bets for my clients. So it is tricky.
Absolutely. If I have 5 NFL games in a week, I'll be shocked. I bet I have maybe 3. I'm really thinking that that's probably where I'm going to be at over at WagerTalk. Same thing with college football. I'm still going to give out my 3 college football underdogs against the spread, money line. Every single week you're going to get that. And then I'm going to have my handful of games that I think that there is an immense amount of value on, a great situational play, what have you. Steve, really quickly, because we got to get out of here.
Yeah.
Michael wants to know if you gave out any MLB picks, and I said no baseball. I got tired of Trig talking baseball. I only talked 1 game. So, Steve, 90 seconds. Give me a baseball play today that maybe you put out on your client card and you're wanting to give out to these guys for free, or that narrowly missed your card.
Yeah, I'll actually give you, I have 1 best bet in baseball tonight, 1 NFL preseason best bet. I'll give you the game that was just a bit outside. My top remaining opinion. All the other baseball games, I think this is the second strongest play on the board. So let's go with the worst team in baseball, right? Kelly loves ugly dogs in football. Maybe I'll win her over in baseball by giving her an ugly dog here. And that's the LA Angels as a $1.40 favorite. What? Worst team in baseball laying $1.40? You can't have that. Well, yes, you can, because even the worst teams win almost 40% of the time. The Angels were right below that 40% mark. And also the worst teams win almost 60 games every year. And this is a very winnable game for the Angels. Why? Because they're playing the second or third worst team in baseball, Kansas City Royals. So I like Anaheim. I like the LA Angels tonight. Reed Detmers projects to give up just a couple runs and have a good outing. And Kansas City's current lineup career is just 9 for 40 against Detmers, just 225 batting average. So a little bit of a hidden secret there. And we will play that. Not ugly dog, ugly dog. Hold your nose and play the ugly favorite. But you're playing against an ugly dog, so it works out. So, Kelly, I'm not going to tell you to watch this game. You can make some money with it. Play the Angels maybe as a 1 to 2% play. My opinions are like 1 to 2%.
Right.
Please don't watch this because they really are the 2 worst teams in baseball, and that would not help the cause of getting Kelly on board for MLB.
No kidding. Don't worry. I got Ariel. I got you. I got Marco. I just figure out who's hot on the WagerTalk, and that's what I do. Steve Merril is the best. Make sure you guys check him out on Market Call upcoming in the next couple weeks. He's going to be here on Last Call a ton on Saturdays and Sundays this fall. Steve, I'm going to get you out of here. We'll see you soon. All right. Yes, Ethan, I am selling football picks this fall. WT.buzz/KIV is where you guys can find my stuff, as well as all of the free picks that you guys are looking for. If you guys go over to the WagerTalk free picks page right now, I got 3, maybe 4. I got to double check to see what all I've loaded so far. And I might have to give out that Saints over 7.5 -120 that Mac Hudson pointed out over at the Hard Rock earlier today. Shout out to all of you guys for hanging out with us here on this beautiful Saturday morning. This has been WagerTalk's Last Call.